Hi, my name's Leonie Bolt, and I went from high school troublemaker and long-time backpacker to accidental entrepreneur. After 15 years working as a professional photographer and running my own studio, I grew into becoming a personal empowerment and business mentor to help other women to follow their passions and find their purpose too. I've learned to pave my own way through life, and now I empower others to do the same, to break through their limiting beliefs and empower them to shine. Welcome to the Empowered to Shine podcast, where we dive deep into creating a life by your own design. Hello, and welcome to the Empowered to Shine podcast. My name's Leonie, and I'm your host. And today our guest is Danielle Arkit, otherwise known as the social media supermum. Hi, Danielle. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Leonie, and I'm so super happy to be here. And I love the title of your show, Empowered to Shine, because that's exactly what I think all us women need to do, is to shine. So yeah, I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. It's all about, giving other women the tools that we've learned along the way and the lessons and sharing the stories, just to make everybody realize, you know what, we're all in this together. We've all got the same struggles. You're not alone. So thank you. And you know what? Social media supermum, everybody needs one of you in their pocket. Tell us a little bit about how you got there.
Yeah, so I did not start out in life thinking I'll be a social media guru, expert, whatever you want to call it. I was definitely destined for, a career in corporate. When I left school, I really had no idea what I was going to do. Some people just they know in year 12, they're like, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I know what my path is. I'm going to go to university, I'm going to become a teacher, and then I'm going to do that for the rest of my life. I literally had no idea. So like yourself, I did go and do some travel. I actually ended up studying languages at university, which was crazy. And was lucky enough in my third year, I got a scholarship and I got to go overseas and live in France for a year. And then I traveled, I backpacked around North Africa and France and Europe and, did the thing you do when you can't figure out what you want to do. And eventually that led me back to Australia, and I started working in a call center because that's what all unemployable arts graduates do, apparently. Well, did back then. Now they probably work in social media, but back then they were in call centers. So I started working in a call center for a health insurance company, and I soon got headhunted for a role in the analytics department. I was one of the few people on the floor that actually had a degree. And so I think they were like, okay, maybe she can figure this stuff out. And I got this job as an analyst. And then I worked as an analyst for a really long period of time, and specifically in the call center industry and space, which was taking off at that point. So when I went through my first degree, you will laugh about this, but we didn't even have at my university, we actually had, email was MS-DOS. So I don't know if anyone remembers those days, but you had to understand what command to type to actually send someone an email, the backslashes and the hyphens and all of that. So that was fun. And so here I was, I'd done my languages, I was working as an analyst. And I got to a certain point where I realized I'm going to have to go back and study more in order to get to the next level of business. So I went back to school, so to speak, and I studied a Master's of Marketing and IT, which were both areas that I was interested in. And I really did that because that was the space I was working in. I was working with numbers and analytics and computers all the time. But on the other side, I was really passionate about customer service and being empathetic to customers, and also sales. And you couldn't study sales at university. So I was like, what's the next best thing is marketing. So that's how I ended up doing the degree. And that degree really opened a lot of doors for me. I worked as a consultant for a long time. I got flown around Australia in private jets, consulting to big blue chip firms. One day I'd be out in the middle of Roma in central Queensland. The next day I'd be singing karaoke in a bar in Adelaide, and then I'd be in boardrooms in the middle of Sydney. So it was an incredible opportunity that I had. And, I realized that call centers were pretty much the future of what was going on then. And then the world turned digital quite suddenly after the rise of Facebook and email was obviously getting bigger and Facebook and all of that. And I was in a very unique position because I had this double degree with both IT and the marketing side. And I was able to merge those skill sets into exactly what digital marketing was, which was this blend of kind of, the engagement and the customers and the empathy and the service, but on the other side, also understanding and crunching the numbers and knowing what that meant. So yeah, from stockbroking analyst to then completely repositioning my career. And in the midst of all that, had a bit, I'm not going to call it a nervous breakdown, but had that sort of quarter life crisis that some of us go through. So I was 25 or 26. I was working really long hours as a stockbroking analyst, and I wanted to do something different. I just was sick of living out of a suitcase, traveling all the time. It was just really full on. And I thought, this is not sustainable for if I get married and have children and do all of those kind of things down the track. And I met my husband, and he's like, yeah, just take some time off or do what you want to do. And I actually studied to become a personal trainer. And then I started a personal training business when I moved to Adelaide. So yeah, that was crazy.
That was a complete flip.
Yeah, totally different industries to what I was used to. So from stockbroking analyst to personal trainer. And obviously there was a massive pay cut, but alongside that, also I was at the stage in life where we were talking marriage and babies. And when I moved to Adelaide, I did get a very decent job for one of the big chains of fitness clubs, which was great, good money and good hours. And then when I got pregnant, I was quite ill with my first pregnancy, morning sickness, etc. They refused to change any of my shifts, so I had to work till 9 o'clock every night. And yeah, wasn't good. It wasn't conducive. And I was actually really worried about losing the baby. I thought the stress levels that were on me, my husband as well, we were just like, is it worth it? Nothing's worth that. So he was like, just quit. So I did actually quit the job, and then I was offered 2 other jobs while 6 months pregnant with my son. So I was like, I must be good at this. People are giving me opportunities while I'm pregnant, knowing I'll have to pay for maternity leave and all of that, then obviously there's something in that. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to do it for myself. Yeah. Started my own business. So
that was in PT, obviously.
Yeah, that was in personal training. So that was really the first big business. I'd worked in my own business before in consulting, but that was really a business where it was, I was running around like dealing with ultrasounds and kids and all of that fun stuff of toddlers too. And then also having to go into work and run this business. And when I first started, it was just me. In fact, it was so small, we just put it in the spare room in the back of our house. After a while, my husband got sick of all these clients traipsing through the house, and he built a fence. So we had a fence, but he built a gate in the back so that these clients could come and go via the driveway and didn't have to walk through our house. Yeah. It was actually great that he did that. And before you know it, I'd really grown that business to the point we had to go into a commercial premises. I had about 6 trainers who were training for me. I was sitting on my couch with my husband, listening to the whirring sound of the treadmill, saying, there we go, honey, there's, we're making money right now. And for me, it was really just this whole big lesson in leverage. So leveraging staff and leveraging systems, and I say that to my clients. I don't think you can really do as well as you need to in a business until you start leveraging either systems and automating your systems or leveraging staff. Either of the two help to get you where you need to be financially.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So then how did you go from that to becoming the social media supermum?
Right. So I realized pretty quickly in my business, because so it's one thing when I'm spending someone else's money, so spending these big businesses' money. You know, I was working really in consulting and marketing strategy and all of that for these massive firms. And, you know, they'd have business budgets of, oh, you can just drop 20,000 on this one campaign, to working for myself, earning a lot less, and then having to go, okay, do I do this marketing campaign today, and the kids can eat baked beans all week? Or like, how do I make this successful? Because this has to be successful. It can't be, unsuccessful. So I started out with things like Facebook ads, but also a lot of email automation and automating all my systems. So, my clients would turn up and my personal trainers would turn up, and we'd have the dashboard. They just know, this is how many sessions I have. This is exactly what's happening in each. And everything was very, very tightly, I guess, automated. So it was a great system, and people were able to run it very effectively. Come to work, there's not time wasted. You see so much wastage of time, especially in smaller businesses, and especially when you have staff. So to not have any time wasted was really important to me. And so I started dealing with digital marketing and learning more about that. And I remember, actually, I was about, I think I was about 6 or 7 months pregnant. And I was like, I'm not sure if I am going to do this training or coaching course in social media. I knew a lot about it. I'd done my degree, but I didn't have some of the, skills in Facebook advertising. And I was like, and I remember speaking to this guy who was my coach on the phone and being like, I don't know if I can afford this course and do this. And like, you need to make me a guarantee that I'll be able to learn this stuff before the baby comes. He's just like laughing at me, but also understood. So anyway, so I just had some really great, role models around me, I think, at that time. And so I was able to, start launching digital campaigns and getting clients and leads through. And it was quite a number of clients I was getting through. I started to really maximize that. And before you knew it, the community grew. People came in, they loved the customer service, they loved the programs, and they started telling friends, and it was very referral based from that point.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you help? So you help women in business, obviously mumpreneurs that are starting out and they're trying to work out, okay, I don't know what to do with my marketing. How do I get clients in the door? What are the sorts of things that you help them with?
Yeah, so I guess the number one thing that I help mompreneurs with is passive income. I'm quite obsessed about passive income. So for your audience members, I'm sure some of them know what passive income is, but for those that don't, passive income is income that happens whether you're awake or asleep. It's income that comes into your bank account, whether you're working a job, like if you're working or whether you're not working per se, you're always doing things behind the scenes. But I personally don't believe that women in particular, and especially moms with kids, they're not wired to work an 8.5-hour day. So when I see this, it just literally makes me appalled. My sister was on the phone to me this morning and we were just saying like how many hours of like running the kids around to activities I have to do. It's quite crazy, So I just personally love the fact that women now have access to these technologies where they can make money from home while they're nursing their baby or while they're cooking dinner, or the things that they're doing as a mom and as a wife and as a homemaker as well. So I think, and the same applies for dads, it's just my audience is more mothers. So I think the key thing is for us to understand how to leverage the technology. And I have some of my moms who are making far more money working 2 hours a day than other friends who are working 8 hours a day, hate their boss, hate their job, never see their kids, don't have fun in their life because everything's just so miserable. And I just feel like shaking them and saying, you can do this. Like, it is not that hard. Yeah, so predominantly I do work with women. I had this moment some time ago. So when I was, I'd given birth to my second baby, I was in hospital. and we were talking about, passive income. So I was actually quite bored. She was such a good baby. She was just sleeping. I was like, I'm bored. I want to get back to work. I don't know if anyone's had that situation. And I was like, look, I'll check the business, I'll check the account, see what's going on. And it was actually my first $10,000 day. And it blew my mind. Here I am sitting in a hospital. I'd worked on the business, but not in the business. I hadn't worked as a personal trainer for probably almost 6 months because I'd had an iron deficiency. I hadn't been well. And I checked this account and I was just like, what? Like overnight, a $10,000 day. Wasn't about the money. It's never been about the money for me. It was about the impact. I was like, imagine if every woman had this opportunity that I have right here, where they don't have to stress and hassle about going back to work, where they can sit at home with their children and enjoy them and still follow their dream and their legacy and still be an awesome businesswoman, but not have to feel pulled between the two. And so that's really where I started to think quite a bit about teaching other women how to do the same. And that's how my business started. Yeah, it was literally like, how you're going to do this.
It's so exciting that we do live in a time where it's totally accessible to all of us.
Yeah.
To master this, working a couple hours a day and making passive income. It's so exciting. So do you help women to build their courses or to automate leads into them, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so a little bit of both, but predominantly people come to me, and the business name happened because most people would come to me and say, I need help with my social media. And I would sit them down and say, okay, what area of their social media? And they would be like, well, I need leads and sales into my business. And I'd be like, well, that's not social media. That's actually your sales funnel and your middle of the funnel and end of the funnel strategies. So your sales strategies, but also your sales funnel, like the automation of all the computer systems. And they'd be like, oh, so there's a light bulb moment would happen. And I'd say it's kind of like for many women, and I like to use this analogy, it's kind of like they've got a car parked in their driveway that's broken down and it's not working. And so they're like, okay, I'm going to do something about this. So they take the jerry can to the petrol station and they fill it up with petrol. They bring it home and then they pour the petrol into the car. And they're like, I don't know why it's not working. Like it should be working. And I laugh saying, this is what we're doing. So they go back so they're like, it's still not working. So they go back to the petrol station. Again, they do the same thing. They fill it up and they bring it home and they pour it in. And guess what? There's just fuel everywhere. It's not working. The car still doesn't work. So the reason why I say this is most people's business or online business engines are broken. Yeah. Yeah. And so instead of fixing the engine that's broken, we think that adding traffic to it, we think that pouring the social media, like adding more, doing more traffic, more blogs and social media and podcasts, whatever else that we want to do, all these traffic strategies, we'll just do more of them and that will fix the problem. No, that's not going to fix the problem. Because the problem is that business engine was always broken. And so what we need to do is fix that first. And then once that's fixed, once we have that on autopilot, there's so many businesses, and I'm sure members of your audience, who don't even have an automation calendar yet. Now, if that's the one change you make this week to like save 10 hours of your week, then so be it. But you need a calendar where people can book in instead of this back and forth thing of I can do Tuesday at 2 and you can do Monday at 5 and whatever you're doing. Send them a link to your calendar, get them to book when it suits them, for example.
Yeah, so that's just I love having even just that piece of the puzzle. I mean, there's so many pieces that you've got to put together and you go, I need this and I need that and all of these pieces. But just having that calendar link, I know when someone sends me a Facebook message, rather than go back and forth, I'm like, great, let's have a chat. Here's my calendar.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's imagine that calendar piece, but then imagine that times 5 or 10 because you're putting all of the pieces in. And so now, I think it's quite funny. People call me up and they're like, oh, I love your new dress you're wearing today. And I'm like, I haven't seen you today. And they're like, on your Instagram. I'm like, I schedule that out like 2 months in advance.
That was from like months and months ago.
look good, but I don't look like that anymore. So yeah, scheduling out social media, for example, these are the little things that help us. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the most important thing is sales. And if we don't get sales into our business, we're not winning. So we need to understand how to sell. And, people are like, oh, the sales, the 5-letter word, the dirty 5-letter word, but sales are important because sales is what makes our business a business. It's not a hobby. It's a business when you have sales. And so in order to get more sales, we do need more leads, but we also need to take our leads through a process. I'd rather have, in fact, I regularly clean out my email list and take out the people that haven't been responding or opening emails, because I'd rather have a nice clean list of quality potential leads than a whole bunch of people that just aren't going to action anything or do anything. I take those quality leads, I sell to them in a very elegant and sophisticated way, not in a salesy way, which is what we see all the time. You guys have probably experienced it where you download something and straight away it's like, oh, you downloaded this thing. And by the way, I do this, 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 and this. And you're like, I don't care. We talked about before marrying the person before you date them. This is an analogy. Did we have that discussion about how we want to marry this person, but what we really should be doing is taking them on a journey with us, taking them on that customer journey and that dating process so that they can fall in love with us, and then we ask them to marry us, as opposed to like going on a first date with a guy who's like, hey, you're gorgeous, I want to marry you. No, that's not going to happen, buddy.
Yeah. And that's hard when you're starting out because, like you said, sales is the most important thing, and it's a long game. Like the client journey, you have to see someone a lot of times before you go, oh, I really like this person. I love what they're doing. I want to look into this a little bit more. So tell us how you build out that customer journey.
Yeah, sure. So a couple of things that are really important. The first thing is whatever I'm sending them as my freebie, like my downloadable, my checklist, whatever, it has to be directly related to your end product. Okay, so if your end product is a course creation course, then you should do the course creation checklist. That sounds simple, but too often I see people like freebie, like one freebie, and it's unrelated or it's just not closely related enough to what they actually are selling, right?
Yeah.
The second thing is when I do Facebook ads, I'm really looking at every point in the process to polarize my audience. So polarize means put them at one end or the other. So you'll see with my followers, they either love me or they hate me. Yeah, that's okay. That's what you want. You don't want to be stuck in the boring middle where it's like, that's the worst place to be, is not for them to hate you. Actually, if they hate you, that's good. That's a good place to be. You don't want to be stuck in the middle where you're considered boring and uncharismatic. That's really the worst place you could be. So I'm always looking to polarize my audience. So this starts from the point where I'm advertising on Facebook, right? I might advertise my freebie, but I'm really calling out my tribe at that point. So I'm saying mompreneurs. So if you're not a mompreneur, you're not going to download that. You're going to scroll on by. If you're a dad or a male, you're probably not going to download that freebie. And that's okay. And when I opened my gym, I remember so many people were like, oh, you can't just have women. You're cutting off half the population. And I was like, just watch me. And the reality is I started with women. But pretty soon I was like, I only want to train women between the age of 28 and 45. And there were various reasons for that. I wanted to train moms as well. And so you just have to dig down and really get to that niche, and when you do that, you'll find you do polarize the audience, which is good. So if you start getting haters, just know you're doing a great thing because you actually got people that really love you as well. So from the outset, making sure even in your advertising, even in your freebies and everything that you're offering out there in the marketplace, making sure that you are polarizing people to go one way or the other. They're either going to click and download, or they're going to be like, I can't stand this girl and I'm not going to download her stuff. Yeah. Because what happens if I do a generic Facebook ad out there and everyone loves it, guess what? I've got all of these clicks and all of these leads coming in. But when it actually comes time to buy, my conversion rates are so low because half the people are like, meh, whatever.
And then you're just spending more on ads.
Yeah, totally. So this actually helps you to spend less money on ads. It also helps you to convert those ads better. Then once they actually get into the sales funnel, you're going to, obviously they start by downloading a freebie. From there, they're going to then look at, they're going to get the freebie and then get an email sequence of sorts. Okay. You can do this in different way. You could create I just saw a really beautiful one the other day, which had 3 emails, but they were all leading to different sales pages where she had new videos each time, right? So you can use video, you can use podcast. There's a process. Doesn't matter how much you build that, but what you really need to talk about in those email sequences is some kind of introduction to yourself, but also your roadblocks. Like, what are the roadblocks in the way of your customer? So for my roadblock, and you find this for most of our customers, you've got time is always a roadblock. Too busy? Yeah. And then you've got money, always a roadblock to buying things is money. And money I just look at as people have money. They just choose to buy what's the most important to them. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You might choose to buy my course instead of buying alcohol this week, or a new dress. And if that's the sacrifice you're willing to make, then you're going to be an invested client. And then the third is like imposter syndrome, this whole I'm not good enough, I don't belong here. So we look at those 3 roadblocks, let's say, and that's pretty typical across most customers. And we look at how are those roadblocks getting in the way of my customer buying from me. Okay. So if I look at my product, which is a sales funnel foundations course, the first thing is like, they might say about time, they might say, I don't have enough time to build this thing. So I'll talk about how we build it in 30 days, what the process is and what the steps are. And I'm going to share a story then also about me and when I felt like I didn't have time. So it's good to give them those overcoming objections and roadblocks. But that's not enough, because if people don't relate to us or trust us, they're still not going to buy from us. So it's better if we say, I remember when I had this issue when I was working full time and I couldn't do the course and I had to run from here to there and blah, blah, blah. So they understand this is the same issue that this person has had. Therefore, they understand what I'm going through. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Same with money. Money's just an investment. So we'll leave that there. And then the imposter syndrome for my clients usually turns up as I'm too dumb to get this, or I hate tech and I don't know how to use tech to build my sales funnel. And so the reality is tech. It's not, when we talk about tech, sometimes I feel like it's this beast running around on 4 legs and people are like, I'm going to kill the tech. Like they really struggle with it. But once you set things up, if something goes wrong, there's a reason why it's gone wrong. We just troubleshoot. It's not a big deal. Yeah. And so what happens is once people have established that trust, they understand that I too used to struggle with tech and it took me years. Even though I had an IT degree, it still took me years to build my sales funnel first time. They start to relate on a level. They're like, oh, I understand what you're saying, So let me give you a good example. Let's say I'm a relationship coach. I'm going to put my Facebook ad out there and it's going to say something like, hey, are you struggling with how to talk to your spouse in your marriage? So that first line straight away is going to polarize your audience. Yeah. You're either going to be like, yeah, that's me, or no, that's not me. Yeah. Now, they might not be in a marriage too, right? And we might use the word marriage, but they might not be in the marriage. That's not the point. The point is they're still looking at it going, yeah, that's me. Okay, I'm not in marriage, but, I'm struggling to talk to my boyfriend, for example. Yeah. Right? So we're still polarizing.
Talking to me.
Still polarizing. We're still talking to our audience, right? So someone's not going to go download the relationship checklist if they're like, if everything's smooth at home. I'm guessing not. That's probably not going to happen. So from the outset, we're polarizing. So now they come into this sales funnel where it delivers them that checklist. And then day one, they're coming back to us saying, I remember when my boyfriend and I had these issues, And people are like, wow, she went through this too. Like, she really gets me. Yeah. Next day, next roadblock. Do you have the roadblock where your spouse doesn't talk to you? I think as women, we all have this roadblock sometimes. And so they'll be like, oh, her spouse also is very quiet. Okay, cool, at certain times. And, so you're starting to establish the trust by understanding their roadblocks and the things that most impact them and what stops them from having success in this area. You're breaking that down and you're telling a story, you're establishing trust. Now, eventually, if you do that through the key elements, you get to the point where they need to purchase a course or buy a course, they're going to buy from you because they can see the value already. A, you know them. B, they trust that you know them. When you trust someone, you buy from them, right?
Yeah.
And C, they know that you have the course material that they need in order to inherit transformation, which is what they're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've actually got a 30-day social media planner. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. So I think you can download that one at www.socialmediasupermum.com/30-day planner. And that's got a wealth of information, everything from how to set up your sales funnel, messaging, target market, how to create and price your courses. There's a lot of information in that one.
Yeah. I actually downloaded it yesterday and went, oh my God, there's a whole course in this.
Yeah, so there's a lot of information in there, and certainly don't let that overwhelm you, but it is a great starting point to kick off and start thinking about like what it is that, if you're looking to create an online course, or even if you're looking to create a simple sales funnel where people can book in and come and see you, and you want to automate your processes and make it faster and easier for you, then that's definitely a tool that's going to assist you with that greatly.
Yeah, fantastic. It's a fabulous tool. So you should jump on there and download it. I will have the link to that in the show notes. So you can find that at leonibolt.com/podcasts and just look for this particular episode. And Danielle, if people want to reach out to you, if they want to find you on social media, if they want to stalk you and see what you're up to, what's the best place to find you?
Super easy. I'm on all the channels pretty much, but predominantly Instagram, Facebook, and also my website. So it's socialmediasupermum.com.au is the website. And on all the socials, we have a Social Media Supermum group as well as a page. So if you join the group, I do masterclasses in there once a week. So that's pretty fun. And I've had lots of great feedback about that. And have a tribe of awesome mums who are kicking butt on their social media and their sales funnels. And so you'll also get to be introduced to them as well. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and that community is so important, isn't it? To know that you're not the only one going through this right now. Yeah. There's a bunch of other people struggling with these same issues, all the tech, all the social media.
Totally. I actually have a client who is in her 60s and really has never worked with social media at all. She's a gorgeous Greek lady that sells Greek olive oil. And she just joined my group recently. But I love it because she's now on Instagram. She knows how to do stories and she's done her whole feed and it all looks professional and amazing. And it's so great when things like that happen, because you're like, here's someone who didn't grow up with this technology, has never even used a computer and has learned bit by bit, how to create stories, how to generate interest around her olive oil, because she's passionate about her olive oil. She just is probably not as passionate about Instagram, but now she understands the technology and how people use it. She knows how to get her product out there. So I love little success stories like that. That to me is just as important as the big success stories. Actually have a young girl that I'm working with, and she has been doing a lot of stuff on YouTube, and she just hit what was it, like some 70,000 subscribers. So she's just been absolutely taking it by storm. So it's really amazing when you do get those clients through that just, they listen and they go in action. And I think consistent action really is the key. So, consistent for you might be once a week or it might be every day, but taking that consistency and actually committing to your business, like this is your legacy. And I just look at it probably a bit different. I think, well, if time is no issue and money is no issue, what would you do with your life? I think that's come to that place of understanding, you know what, I would personally do my business for free. I mean, I don't, but if I had to, if there were no opportunities, I would still do it for free because I love it so much. And I think that is what shows when I have these customers come to me and they have these incredible businesses, all born out of a need or a story or a legacy that us women are able to create. So I think we are built with that passion in our hearts to do something. And it's just such a disservice not to get it out there and to just do something with it. We were talking about failure, I think, before the podcast. I look at it as there's no failure. Like every failure, everything that's gone wrong, it's just taught me something that's made my business and my life better and greater from that point. So I hope that encourages your audience to just get out there and either like bring to fruition that business idea they've already had, or just make the things happen that they need to have made happen.
Absolutely. If we can get a woman in her 60s selling olive oil on Instagram, everybody's got a chance to get themselves out there, right?
Totally. So, yeah, and actually she did such a funny story the other day. It was so cute. This big, huge, like, picture of this big, huge bottle of olive oil and this guy pouring it. And, like, it said something like, when Greeks ask for olive oil on their salad. And it was actually hilarious. I thought, you're nailing this Instagram stories thing. And I never thought I would say that about, a 60-year-old woman who has no idea on tech. So yeah, it's superb when it starts happening. Really superb. But yeah, no, lots of amazing clients. I've got clients that have launched books, and I've got clients that are, in all kinds of different industries. And that's what I love, is just the variety. I've got someone who's doing chickens, like backyard chickens that you can rent.
Oh, wow.
So you can rent these chickens as pets. I have someone that is, previously had architects. So it's all range of different passions that people have. But the key thing is to get it out there and to start getting these leads and sales to your business. And you know what? People want what it is that you have to offer, but they're not going to see it out there if, A, you don't put it out there, you don't advertise it, and B, if you don't have a successful sales funnel that actually converts the interested people into a sale. So yeah, I can help with both, but yeah, definitely get your ideas out there and just trust that they're going to work. Because if you have a good feeling about it, they're going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Danielle. I know that the planner that you have there to download is just phenomenal. So you should jump on there and grab that, and have a look for Danielle on Facebook and Instagram and see what she's up to as well. So thanks so much for being on the show.
That's so.
Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Shine podcast. My name's Leonie Bolt, and I'm glad that you were able to join us today. I hope you got some serious inspiration from today's episode. If you'd like to find more episodes, go to leoniebolt.com/podcasts or start subscribing on your favorite podcast streaming channel. I look forward to seeing you again soon.